Imagine the Pope Francis, one of the most respected leaders in the world, saying he has received a new message from none other than the Virgin Mary herself. However, this message is a warning that could change everything. In this new revelation, she didn't just come with words of comfort. No, this time, her face was filled with sadness, and her message was clear. Something bad is coming, and we have a choice to make before it's too late. The Virgin Mary has appeared to people many times throughout history, often during moments of crisis. Reflect on the renowned apparitions in Fatima, Portugal, which occurred over a century ago, revealing a glimpse of the future to 3 young children. They showed these children terrifying visions of wars, disasters, and even hell itself, and instructed them to warn the world. People didn't always listen back then, and many of those warnings came true, such as World War II and the rise of destructive governments. Pope Francis says that Mary has appeared again with a similar message, but this time it feels even more urgent. The world is once again at a crossroads, facing new dangers like climate change, wars, and a growing disconnection from faith. It's like there's a darkness spreading over the world, and if we don't act quickly, it might be too late to stop it. He says that the Virgin Mary showed him specific images of what could happen if humanity doesn't change its ways. One of the most frightening parts of this vision was the appearance of something the Pope described as silent disease, a mysterious illness that would affect not only our bodies, but also our souls. It's not clear exactly what this silent disease is, but the warning is enough to make anyone sit up and take notice. The Virgin Mary didn't come to terrify us without giving us a way out. If we act now, we can prevent these terrible events, she said. If we turn back to prayer, live better lives, and come together in faith, we have the power to change our future. But the window of time to make this change is closing fast. This brings us to the most important part of Mary's message. She didn't just deliver a warning, she gave us a choice. The world is standing at a crossroads, and the path we choose will determine whether we face salvation or destruction. It's up to us to decide what happens next. If we look at history, there have been many times when the world seemed on the brink of disaster, and each time, Mary's warnings echo through the ages. But here's the thing, it's not just about doom and destruction. Yes, Mary's messages can be frightening, but there's always a chance to turn things around if we act fast. The Virgin Mary's appearances, known as Marian apparitions, have been happening for hundreds of years, often during moments of great crisis. One of the most famous took place in 1917, in Fatima, Portugal. 3 shepherd children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, claimed to have seen Mary appear to them, and her message was shocking. She gave them a vision of hell, showing the terrifying consequences of ignoring God's call. She also predicted future wars and the rise of communism, specifically pointing to World War II and the spread of Russia's influence. Her warnings at Fatima didn't stop there. She told the children that unless people repented and turned to prayer, the world would face unimaginable suffering. And unfortunately, much of what she predicted came true. Just a few years after the apparitions, the world plunged into World War II, one of the most devastating conflicts in history. Millions died, and the spread of communism led to the persecution of Christians in several countries, just as she had warned. Now, over 100 years later, Pope Francis is sharing a new message from Mary, and the tone is just as urgent. Her warning this time points to dangers that are all too familiar to us: natural disasters, wars, moral decay, and something even more sinister, the silent disease. Mary's message isn't all about fear and disaster. While her warnings are clear and terrifying, she always offers a path to redemption. Just like in Fatima, where she asked people to pray the rosary and devote themselves to her Immaculate Heart, Mary's recent message through Pope Francis emphasizes the power of prayer and repentance. Pope Francis has shared that Mary specifically mentioned the importance of the Rosary, a prayer that's been a symbol of hope and protection for centuries. She asks everyone to pray it daily, not just as a private devotion, but as a way to fight the spiritual battles we're facing. By praying the Rosary, she believes we can ward off the darkness and bring healing to the world. In the heart of her call is spiritual and moral responsibility. These two concepts are central to everything Mary has communicated over the years. Spiritual responsibility is something many of us may not think about often, but it's critical to the message Mary is sharing. What does it mean to be spiritually responsible? In simple terms, it means making sure that our actions align with our faith and beliefs. It's about nurturing a connection with God and ensuring that our spiritual lives are as strong as they can be. In this latest revelation, Mary is asking us to take our spiritual lives seriously again. In a world where distractions are everywhere, from social media to endless entertainment, it's easy to forget the importance of prayer, reflection, and faith. We get caught up in the busyness of life and neglect the very thing that could help guide us through hard times: our relationship with God. But Mary is clear. If we don't take responsibility for our spiritual health, the world will continue to fall into chaos. We need to reconnect with God through prayer, especially by using the Rosary, which she specifically mentioned in her message to Pope Francis. The Rosary is a way to meditate on the life of Jesus and Mary, reminding us of the core truths of our faith while also providing spiritual protection. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful ways we can take responsibility for our own souls and for the well-being of the world. In her message, the Virgin Mary expressed deep concern about the state of the world. She mentioned the rise of sin, the increasing indifference to human suffering, and the moral decay spreading across societies. This moral decay doesn't just refer to big, obvious sins like violence or greed. It also includes the quieter, everyday choices we make to ignore injustice, to be selfish, or to turn away from those in need. For Mary, moral responsibility means acting in ways that promote love, peace, and justice. It's about caring for others, especially those who are suffering. In today's world, where poverty, inequality, and environmental destruction are all around us, taking moral responsibility means standing up for what's right. It means making choices that protect the dignity of all people and the planet we share. Pope Francis has repeatedly emphasized this point. Prayer is not just a personal practice, it's a tool that helps us become better people. Through prayer, we receive the strength and guidance needed to make morally responsible decisions. These opposing forces form the backbone of her revelation. On one hand, Mary's vision shows us a world teetering on the edge of disaster, chaos, suffering, and spiritual decay. But on the other hand, she offers a path toward redemption and healing if we are willing to embrace it. This balance between fear and hope is crucial, as it gives us both the urgency to act and the belief that change is possible. The Virgin Mary speaks of a looming darkness, a shadow that is creeping over the world. This darkness isn't just metaphorical, it's a real danger, one that comes in the form of wars, natural disasters, and the moral decay of society. We see hints of these dangers in our world today: environmental catastrophes, political unrest, and a growing sense of indifference to suffering. It feels as if the very fabric of our world is unraveling. And that's what Mary's vision is trying to prevent. Mary's message instills fear to jolt us out of our routines and prompt us to confront challenging questions about humanity's path. What will happen if we continue ignoring our spiritual responsibilities? What kind of future are we leaving for the next generation if we don't change our ways now? This is the fear that Mary invokes. Not fear for fear's sake, but fear as a tool to inspire action. It's a wake-up call, one that demands our attention before it's too late. This isn't the first time Mary has balanced fear with hope. Throughout her appearances, from Fatima to Lourdes, she has always offered hope as a way to counter the fear of impending disaster. In 1917, she warned of a Second World War and the rise of destructive ideologies, but she also said that through prayer, especially the Rosary, people could prevent or lessen these catastrophes. Indeed, the power of prayer and faith mitigated many of her terrifying prophecies. She expressed the same hope in her latest message to Pope Francis. Humanity has the power to change its course. If we heed her call and take action, we can avoid facing the consequences of our actions. This is a hopeful message because it puts the power in our hands. It's not too late to turn things around, but we must start now. The balance between fear and hope is key to Mary's message. Without fear, we might not recognize the severity of the situation. We might continue living as though nothing is wrong, ignoring the signs around us. But without hope, we could easily fall into despair, believing that no matter what we do, disaster is inevitable. The world is at a crossroads, and both fear and hope are pulling us in different directions. Fear, as we've seen, serves a critical purpose. It reminds us that the dangers Mary warned about, moral decay, global crises, and even the mysterious silent disease, are not just distant possibilities. They are real, looming threats that could soon become unavoidable if we don't take decisive action. But just as fear compels us to act, hope reassures us that it's not too late. The Virgin Mary's message is not without hope, but this hope requires something from us. We must take spiritual and moral responsibility for our lives and for the world around us. We must actively choose the path of prayer, faith, and moral integrity. As Pope Francis emphasized, it is through our individual and collective actions that we can make a real difference. The Virgin Mary, through her many appearances, has always provided humanity with a way out. It's not an easy road, but it's one that offers salvation and peace. Prayer is the most powerful tool we have at our disposal, and when combined with real action, living a life of love, kindness, and faith, we can shift the trajectory of our world away from darkness and toward the light. The key takeaway from this message is its urgency. Mary's cautions apply not to a distant future, but to the present moment. The clock is ticking, and the decisions we make today will ripple through generations to come. This isn't the first time the Virgin Mary has called for humanity to change. In Fatima, Lourdes, and other apparitions, she warned of global turmoil if people did not repent. History demonstrates that the unheeding of her warnings led to the fulfillment of many of her predictions. Today, we find ourselves in a similar situation. The world is once again at a pivotal moment, and the choices we make now will shape the future for better or worse. If you found this message powerful and eye-opening, consider supporting the channel by clicking the Super Thanks button. Your support goes a long way in allowing us to keep creating meaningful content, keeping our work going strong, and connecting with more people who need to hear these words. The vision is scary, but it invites transformation. The Virgin Mary isn't condemning us. She's giving us one last chance to change. Her message is filled with compassion, urging us to turn away from the destructive forces at work in our world and instead embrace a life grounded in faith and love. We all have the power to make a difference, whether through small, everyday actions or larger commitments to prayer and service. This is the heart of Mary's message. Hope is not passive. It requires us to take responsibility and make changes, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us. The mention of the silent disease in Mary's message is perhaps one of the most mysterious and alarming aspects of the vision. While it's unclear what this disease represents exactly, we can infer that it's not just a physical illness, it's something deeper, perhaps society's spiritual decay, where people are disconnected from their faith and each other is to blame. This disease, if left unchecked, could destroy not just our bodies, but our souls. This final warning is a reminder that the dangers we face are not just external. The real battle is within us, how we choose to live, how we choose to treat others, and how we maintain our connection to God. If we allow this silent disease to continue, we risk losing not only our physical well-being, but also our moral and spiritual health. The Virgin Mary's message offers both a warning and a promise. The warning is clear: continue down this path and we will face dire consequences. The promise is equally powerful: return to faith and improve the world. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.